Welcome back, everyone. I'm Maddles. This is some exclusive YouTube content for the ESET UK Masters. We are going into game 2 of a best of 3. It is the third, fourth place match, and it is from the Open Qualifier number 2. This match was never meant to be played because with the Open Qualifiers, only 2 players are meant to get seeds into the Grand Finals at the end of March, but because Sage is unavailable to attend after qualifying previously, we needed a third person. So we said, you know what? We'll play this third, fourth place out between Nerchio and Axiom's Heart, and the winner will get that spot. So a lot on the line. Currently, 1 game up to Nerchio. So is he going to be able to 2-0 the player from Axiom? Will Hart bring it back and level up the series 3-0? We will wait and see. So let me introduce these two. In the lower left position, the red Zerg player, currently 1-0 up. We have Nerchio. In the top right, the blue Terran, desperate to stay in this competition, desperate to earn his seed, probably his last opportunity. It is Hart. Now, game 1, it was a long macro game, 25 minutes, but none of this dull sitting around looking at each other. It was constant engagement, constant skirmishes, constant battles, aggression to the max, and it was really close all the way through. But Nerchio managed to tip it in his favor after taking out the Planetary Fortress at the 4th. Suddenly Hart didn't have the income behind that, didn't have the economy to keep producing, but Nerchio did with 5 hatcheries up, and that meant that he was able to push through and bring the pain. Hart, he went for an interesting strategy in game 1 as well. He went for this Marine Marauder composition with a few tanks and a few Widow Mines in it, and that was actually quite effective. The Widow Mines cleared out the Speedlings very nicely. The tanks and Marine Marauders dealt with everything else. Nerchio, though, he came back with that massive Infester and Ultralisk force, which was really good, kept resupplying. Good drop play out of Hart as well throughout, but it just wasn't enough in the end. So it'll be interesting to see if either of these two switch it up. I know that Hart should be aware that in Heart of the Swarm, Terran Mech is really solid. So maybe he'll go for that. Maybe he'll stick with the Marine Marauder force. We'll wait to see. But currently, he's got the 1 Rax, the 1 Command Center. Nerchio went hatch first into the spawning pool. So things looking as standard can be. And due to that, it's not a bad thing. It just means that we should be pretty confident in what could be happening. So Hart getting up to 2 gas, probably going to get a factory down fairly quickly. Probably going to be going into those Hellions, which most Terran players are doing at the moment. It gives you good map control. It works well. You've also got the option to morph them into Hellbats later on, should you commit heavily. And what Nerchio really needs to do is just break that. So he's got different options available to him as well. Is he going to go for that Infester Ultra late game that we saw in game 1, or will he go for Roach Hydra with the 1-1 missile attacks, then transitioning, getting some Vipers in there as well for the blinding cloud on potential tanks? Will he go for Swarm Hosts? They're not great with siege lines, but they do pretty well if you get some blinding clouds off. So again, lots of different combinations. Mutalisk still super strong due to their health regeneration, but for the moment, just a small skirmish going on by the Watchtower. The Marines pushing those Lings back. Nerchio just getting out the Queens, going to go up to 4 as we saw in game 1. It gives you good defense and the ability to push back any Hellions. It also gives you the option to start spreading the creep, which, to be fair, Hart did a great job of denying all throughout game 1, but the aggression coming a lot later from Hart. He's not going for that 1 Rax, 1 gas opening, instead getting out the command center a lot sooner, focusing on his economy. The reactor, the factory are nearly complete. They'll switch over, so we'll probably be seeing that reactor factory Hellion play, maybe some Widow Mines as well, because Hart did really seem to like them in game 1. He's also getting up his starport very early on, getting a tech lab on the barracks as well, so almost certain to be some Banshee follow-up, just as we saw. For Nerchio, though, at the moment, getting up his 3rd hatchery and just trying to chase down this SCV with a Zergling, but the Buddy Marines coming to save the poor little worker. Doesn't want him going down to that big, nasty Zergling. Behind this, of course, the Armory coming out. And this threw me off a little bit in game 1. I'm happy to admit that, because Hart got the Armory early on, but didn't really use it for anything. He didn't morph a single Hellbat as far as I'm aware. He also didn't get any upgrades from it. He then proceeded to get the double engineering bay, which really was a bit confusing. So maybe this is for the Hellbat early on again, maybe going for some kind of Hellbat drop. It's very effective. Maybe, of course, as well, he's just going to be going mech and getting for upgrades. We'll wait to see. But what I do know is Nerchio is getting his road run down. He's getting down that spine crawler. The third base, obviously going to be a vulnerability, and we can see that a bunker is going to get constructed there with the SCV on its way over. The Banshee coming out behind this as well. A good number of Marines running their way across. No Overlord to grant vision means that there's no way to know that this bunker's coming down yet for Nerchio until the hatchery finishes, at which point it's too late to cancel it, and clearly that would be less beneficial. Hellbats are morphing. That is what the armory was for. That deals some nice damage. That hatchery taking a lot of damage. The spine crawler desperate to try and come down here, but as soon as that bunker's finished, the Marines are going to jump in there and it'll be very difficult to take out. And Nerchio actually deciding, you know what, that hatchery, not worth it. I'm not going to save it. I'm just going to run back and make sure that I am safe going into the later game. So we do see that the hatchery does fall. That is a big loss for Nerchio at this point. Surprise blocked him as well, and that Overlord is still 20 seconds away from completion. A couple of roaches are heading out onto the field, but this push is continuing. The Hellbats very strong, the Marines very strong as well. The Hellbats just able to tank up a lot of damage and deal with the Zerglings. The Marines and everything able to deal nicely with the roaches, but morphing back into Hellions, running away to the safety of their base and just content with the damage done, and as he should be. Knocking out that third hatchery was great. The Banshee did come in to try and deal some damage but didn't manage to do so, and now it's up to Nerchio to retake that third and somehow get back into this game, because he really is at a loss. He's on equal basis, soon to be a base down on his opponent with that third command center already two-thirds complete, and as such, even with these spore crawlers coming down to defend from the Banshee, it's not looking so good for him. Hart is definitely going to be feeling very confident moving forward, just with the sheer fact that he's done that damage, knocked out that additional base. He's got the Widow Mines up, he's got the bunker up, the supply depot wall off, he's holding the forward watchtower as well. Roaches trying to come in and deal some damage, but the Hellions running away oh so quickly. And that just means that everything really coming together nicely, more barracks being added on. So yet again, this mixed up composition, a bit of a misclick there. The factory landing first on the reactor and then Hart thinking, you know what, I'd actually quite like some tanks, so switches the add-ons around. He's getting +1 upgrades for infantry and +1 weapons for vehicles. All coming together nicely. Meanwhile, 1 melee weapons and armor coming down for Nerchio. So similar upgrade pattern from Nerchio at the moment, suggesting that he may be going for that ultra composition again, but he's got a lot of roaches which aren't going to be benefiting from that melee attack upgrade. The Banshee still trying to come in, spots this roach movement, will get a couple of shots off on a few of these roaches, weakening them down, softening them up for the Widow Mines and also for those Marines. But this is just a clear indicator to Hart that a lot of units coming over. Hellions morphing into battle Hellions. The tank pops just in time, sieging up on the high ground. Cannot get sniped out there. The Widow Mines should start engaging should this bunker fall, and no SCVs were called to repair. That means the Marines do have to be a little bit careful. The siege tank raining down pain from the skies. Widow Mines both have now triggered. The Banshee chipping away, and Nerchio forced back at the moment. Hard. He lost a bunker, but not too much else, so that's fine for him. The third orbital command is done. That's 3 SCVs at a time. That's also 3 mules available. The Viking is just checking around for Overlords. It's going to find another one in a second. It's already got 1 kill, and that is very frustrating, losing Overlords to a single Viking. The third hatch, that's back up and running though at the moment for Nerchio, so he's just got a drone like a madman, up to 66 drones, but compare that to the 57 SCVs and the 3 mules there for Hart, and the fact that he's floating his third orbital command down, and actually he's in an okay spot. This double drop is yet again going to show that actually Hart is not afraid for this harassment heavy style. There is a spore crawler at the main base, but the Overlords, which were taken out by the Viking, mean that there isn't much drop awareness. There is 1 Overlord, but I believe that those medevacs are going to dodge it, and they indeed are not seen at the moment, and that means that it's not going to be noticed till the last second, but luckily already the roaches were there and the medevacs are forced to go back. Still, third base is about to just land. The tanks all sieged up very nicely on the high ground. A good position to place them in for any Terrans watching, because up there they're not going to be able to take damage. You have to get a long way. They can shell away to their heart's content. 2-2 upgrades for melee and infantry coming out on both sides, as well as +2 vehicle weapons not yet started, so that's got to get up soon. Infestors are just coming out at the moment for Nerchio, sticking to ye old Wings of Liberty units. Of course, the big difference with Infestors come Heart of the Swarm is that their fungal growth is no longer instantaneous, it is on a projectile, and quite a slow one at that, so you can dodge it, it can be difficult to hit it. but also Infested Terrans don't gain from upgrades. But Hive nearly done. Similar time to in game 1. That means Ultras very likely, especially with the 2-2 upgrades on their way. Heart does still have these 2 medevacs just sitting outside of the main base of Nerchio, but the Overlord spot them, knows they're still there, and they're just as expected. The Ultradisc Cavern coming down. A scan is hitting at the moment for Heart. He's just using that to clear out creep tumors in the center of the map. He wants to deny that creep spread. Some more Widow Mines moving forward, but there's a great fungal growth there, hitting all of the Marines, allowing all these units to start getting taken out. But the Roaches, they're walking straight into some Widow Mines. The Overseer there already, rather, in order to ground detection, does manage to snipe them out. The tanks, though, mean that Nerchio is unable to push up for the time being. He just needs to secure his 4th, though. Stay a base up is the most important thing. But as we see, Hart, he is already getting up his own 4th base, and as such, he is going to have those 4 command centers very early. He's getting more factories out as well, and just between all of this, he's starting to build up a sizable force. He is ahead in terms of the supply, but with some speedlings coming to pick up reinforcements, that is always good to see. The army for Hart slightly out of position, may force an engagement. Hart pushing forward. As long as he deals off with these small groups of units, he is engaging the Zerg army half and half, but as long as he can hold off the aggression on his own, he will be able to take out this 4th base and will be able to just keep the momentum going. 4 Ultras are in production, but obviously Nerchio did not want to force this engagement before they were out. The 4th base does go down. A couple of Roaches are chipping away, but a Banshee taking them out. Roaches at the 3rd base as well of Hart, with no reinforcements other than that bunker up at the moment. So quite a few workers going to die, but the 3rd base now under problems. Tanks sieging up very nicely. Marines and Mortars doing some nice damage. Tanks chipping away at everything. Got to spread the units out to make sure that those infestors don't get fungal growths off, but they do get sniped off fairly quickly. The Ultra getting taken out exceptionally fast. And as we can see, the Roaches are getting taken out. The Hellbats even taking up some of this Ultra damage. And well, with the tanks there, Nerchio looks to be in a lot of problems. Adrenal Glands is nearly finished up. More Ultras are trying to stream out. He's doing good damage with those Roaches back to the 3rd base still. But the problem is, Hart is very, very close to being able to snipe off this 3rd hatchery. And once that goes down, Nerchio will be on just 2 mining bases to the 3 of the Terran player. And that is the point at which you are definitely in massive problems as Zerg. We see the more tanks, more reinforcements are streaming out. Hard now with 50 supply advantage, 150. And there is the GG from Nerchio. He was unable to take that game. But that is good news for all of us, because it means game 3 will be coming up. It will be the ace deciding match. Who gets that seed into the grand finals? A chance to compete for that £10,000 prize pool. I'm Maddles. Make sure you flick over to game 3. I'll see you there in a second. Like this video though, and subscribe before you go. See you in a sec.